Hi everybody, Al Bernstein with another one of my video blogs. Well, at the risk of dating myself, I was around in the 1980s when all those great fights were happening with Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, Marvin Hagler, Roberto Duran. And during that era, when I was privileged to get to announce many of those fights and was an active participant in covering them, one of the things that era was known for were these great press tours in which, whether it was Hearns and Leonard, or Hearns and Hagler, or Leonard and Hagler, or Duran and Leonard, they would hop on airplanes and fly across the country and do a press tour that landed at 5, 6, 7 cities all across the United States, lasting for a week or so. And it would create fascinating TV and really do a lot to build up the interest in these fights. We haven't seen much of that in recent years. Even in many of the big fights involving Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, we've seen big press conferences, but not so much these press tours that really capture the imagination of boxing fans and the media. Well, we're in the midst of one right now, and that is the press tour involving Canelo Alvarez and Floyd Mayweather. It is culminating on this week in Los Angeles with the final press conference. It started its 11-city tour in New York. You see coverage of that here on the Boxing Channel. It's made stops in a number of cities all across the Eastern Seaboard, like Washington, D.C., Miami. It was in Michigan, Grand Rapids, the hometown of Floyd Mayweather, in Chicago, and headed down to Mexico City, where large throng came out to see these two fighters, and then concluding in Los Angeles. It has, I think, really energized the base of boxing and also expanded the coverage that this fight not only is getting right now, but probably will get as it moves forward. And it's made me feel a little bit nostalgic about those great media tours that we had before. You know, I'll never suggest that boxing is going to reestablish or reemerge in a way it existed in the 1980s. I don't know if that's possible because there is a big difference in the landscape of how sports are delivered, how many sports are delivered to the public now, the amount of sporting news that we have to digest, and the amount of sports events that are thrown at us. So clearly it's more dispersed in terms of what we can view. So of course, with more sports coming at us, it's harder for any sport to take a big piece of the pie, and boxing became more of a niche sport, and so it has to grab for its piece just like all the other sports. So I don't think boxing is going to have a reemergence that's going to make it like it was in the 1980s. However, there have been more than a few indicators that the sport has made very good strides in the last 8 or 9 months, and part of it has been Floyd Mayweather's interest in fighting more often, the press's interest in covering the sport more, not so much just related to Mayweather, but also related to the quality of matches that has been put out there. And this press tour, I think, is a perfect example of the sport doing a good job of reaching out to the media and to the fans to say, look, we're here. We're trying to make good fights. And in 2013, as I've said many times here on the Boxing Channel and everywhere else I am in front of a microphone, boxing has made very good fights in this year, and many good ones last year, but especially this year. This has been a year in which this sport has put a product out there that they can be proud of. So this press tour, echoing back to the 1980s, and I think it's like going back to the future, because I believe it's a harbinger of good things to come for the sport.